had the pleasure, Carl and I went on Friday night to an art showing for Sue Hardy, and I met up with another gentleman, retired from NASA, and he's a scientist and he's very much bent as an engineer. And all of this, like, focus on the science, but he also, in his own way, is very spiritual. And so, in what I mean by that is he's very loving. I was asking him about, just out of curiosity, then, how do you feel about the possibility of other life forms? And he looked at me and he said, it'd be awful egotistical of us to think that other life forms, that we're the only one. And yet he was from a science base. I loved his questioning. And as a scientist, as a true scientist, you're never locked in to what your answer is. And I started thinking about that in terms of relationships. A lot of times we lock in as to what our answers are, and how we experience ourselves and how we experience relationships. And it keeps us locked in without the possibility of having a new experience. Experiencing love requires releasing blocks to love, which often includes letting go or releasing of held charged emotions and thoughts or beliefs that you may not even know are there. The way you take walls down with another person is to first take the walls down within yourself. And when we want intimacy with someone else, we first need to get that within ourselves. Sometimes we need to leave things that aren't good for us, even the patterns, the thoughts, the beliefs about ourselves that were never true. And sometimes you may need to learn that the only reason you struggled in the relationship because you were in it and were projecting your hurt and your pain and your misunderstandings onto others. And it's only in hindsight that we realize the abandonment and rejection issues that we might be feeling stemmed from ultimately not knowing how to connect with ourselves. A lot of times we look at a relationship as us versus them, and there's a fight, there's a struggle. And we forget that relationships are really about for each other. And that's how everyone wins. And that's about recognizing how in truth, there isn't a fight. Like my friend Dave, the NASA scientist, said, it's really about making room for humility, knowing it's a good thing, it's an empowered thing. And again, it invites us to live with wonder, which is a very sweet way to live.